The audio on this might suck a little bit, and I apologize for that, but right now there's nothing I can do about it. Alright, so, I'm just going to read through this thread. This is for an interesting bit of history. By Jared Yates Sexton. To begin, we have to go back to the days of monarchs and nobles when a select group of people were considered inherently better than everyone else on the, quote, chain of being, unquote. Their authority was largely unchangeable, and, quote, regular, unquote, people were there to be exploited. The mythology of kings and nobles was backed by Christian mythology, which told a story to the exploited that these individuals were chosen by an all-powerful God to rule over them. The church in partnership helped maintain order and obedience. In order to maintain obedience, the church and power structure continually investigated their citizens, using administrative means to survey them and inflict horrible tortures and executions. It was a means by which the elite maintained their stranglehold over power. Over time, divisions within the Christian mythology led to wars, genocides, and upheavals, creating eras of absolute chaos where the elite battled over control. From this was birthed an alternative philosophy that would come to topple the power structure. Despite lies telling you otherwise, the founding of America was based on a rejection of religious-based rule. It was engineered specifically to move away from that system and develop something based on laws and capitalism rather than hereditary power. The birth of, quote, conservatism, unquote, is often pinpointed to the actions of Edmund Burke, who looked at the rise of liberalism and democracy with terror and advocated that the will of the people should be, quote, thwarted, unquote, for their own good and the good of society. What doesn't get discussed as often is that Edmund Burke believed that the rise of liberalism was tied to an evil conspiracy carried out in order to destroy Christianity and take over the world. This belief infused and animated conservatism from the very start. At the beating heart of conservatism was a belief that secret societies dedicated to eradicating the Christian church and toppling the power structure for evil purposes were carrying out revolutions and reform. In this belief, the elite were being wrongfully overthrown. Despite constant bemoaning that the GOP is suddenly full of conspiracy theories and Trump caused it all, those conspiracy theories have been present in conservatism from the beginning because they are stories that legitimize control by a few over the many. And the idea that America is only now swamped with conspiracy theories is ridiculous. The first party-contested election in 1800 saw Federalists accusing Thomas Jefferson of being part of an Illuminati conspiracy to destroy the United States. It's always been about power. The very essence of conservatism, which the GOP represents, is a belief that some people are inherently better than others. The lesser of the population must be controlled for their own good and the good of civilization. This divide informs everything we're going through. In terms of the law and developing liberal societies, the idea was that the legal system could function to teach and tutor citizens how to behave to the betterment of society. Jeremy Bentham was at the heart of this, and his ideas would have incredible influence. As the idea of society structured around obeying an omnipotent God was giving way to a society of laws, Bentham designed what came to be called the panopticon. This structure would replace the ever-present surveillance of God with the feeling of being watched by the state. If the state could institute measures to make citizens feel viewed all the time, it reasoned they would obey laws and possibly act better as individuals. The panopticon began as a prison, but was advocated for use in every part of society, including schools and public. It's important to point out that the legal system and threat of prison are there, in the beliefs of many, to continue improving citizens. Many believe the law itself is there for the elite to wield as a weapon to control the population rather than an equalizing force. Flash forward now to modern times, where the conservative GOP are again using the exact same conspiracy theories as have been used for centuries. Now it's the, quote, deep state, unquote, which is just a rebranding of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories and Illuminati ones. QAnon is just a digital age rebranding of the same conspiracy theory that Edmund Burke and conservatives believed at the dawning of liberalism. It's a means to undermine the idea of equality and legitimize violence and anti-democratic actions. It's important to point out, and our media should mention this constantly, that the deep state /QAnon /New World Order conspiracy theories driving the GOP to attack democracy have been used by authoritarians including Viktor Orban and Vladimir Putin to control their nations. Now that the GOP has just openly rejected liberal democracy, they're using institutions designed to thwart the will of the people to effectively attack liberalism in an attempt to destroy it once and for all. This is a battle that's been brewing for centuries. This should sound familiar. Conservative authoritarians have consistently claimed representative, liberal democracy represents weakness and allows evil forces to overtake the government. As a result, they want to eliminate the, quote, weakness, unquote, and reinstitute hierarchical rule. What's terrifying in all of this is that surveillance technology has exploded, creating a situation where, if authoritarians were able to reinstitute control, we'd be looking at something so far beyond inquisitions or traditional surveillance, it would be a nightmare. Already with the overturning of Roe v. Wade, we're getting a glimpse of how tech, social media, and predictive algorithms could be used by a conservative hierarchy to institute, quote, discipline, unquote, and control. There's an incredible amount of danger here, and it grows by the day. Though the GOP is historically unpopular, its capture of these systems and continued attempts to disenfranchise could create an illiberal state powered by cutting-edge technology. It would represent a death blow to liberalism and a resurrection of hierarchical control. What we're watching is a master's course in how the right and the GOP view the law as a weapon rather than equalizing force, and how these conspiracy theories are used to wage war against liberal democracy. Nothing is particularly hidden at this moment. Pay attention.